Stop. This morning, a massive political test unfolding nationwide, with primary voters headed to the polls in 5 different states that could help determine the future direction of the Democrats.
By the way, it's 1:26 California time, 4:26 p.m. here in Michigan. Okay, 4:30 in Michigan, which means that in approximately 4 hours and 34 minutes, the polls will close. And I suspect shortly thereafter, we will know who the projected winner is. Now, I don't want to make any crazy predictions here, but given that the mobilization has been tremendous so far, where early voting numbers are actually higher than 2024, there's one side whose ground game and mobilization could perhaps be the reason for that increased attention. Is it not 3.5 hours? Wait, is it? Polls close at 8. Oh, shit. Sorry. Polls close at 8, not 9. I was wrong. It's 3.5 hours. Fuck. 3.5 hours, not 4.5 hours. I apologize. I thought it was at 9. I thought polls close at 9. God damn. I've been canvassing nonstop. I should not give you the wrong information right now. That's crazy. That's crazy. I got the wrong info out. I'm delivering. I'm giving fake news out, dude. Dishing out fake news.
Democratic Party. One of the most closely watched contests here in Michigan, with 4-term Congresswoman Haley Stevens taking on progressive Abdul El-Sayed in what's become the Dems' most expensive Senate primary race ever. More than $63 million spent on TV ads supporting Stevens, with about half of those ads coming from a super PAC aligned with the pro-Israel group AIPAC.
Haley Stevens, a proven fighter for Michigan.
Stevens is campaigning as a moderate with the support of many in the party establishment, including Senator Chuck Schumer and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
People are talking about my style and approaches, but I win for my state.
But she's facing a tough political battle from El-Sayed, who pitches himself as a political outsider who supports Medicare for all, abolishing ICE, and ending military aid to Israel. El-Sayed campaigning with prominent progressives in the closing weeks, including Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
We want to get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all, because it just shouldn't be this hard to get by.
The winner set to face Trump-endorsed Congressman Mike Rogers.
Republicans are making life more affordable.
In a November showdown for a seat currently held by a Democrat. It's a must-win for Democrats hoping to flip the Senate. From the White House, President Trump attacking both Democratic candidates.
But you have a communist versus a socialist. That's the way I look at it.
This is beautiful, by the way. This is beautiful because it reveals that even someone like Haley Stevens is still a socialist in the eyes of the Republican Party. And I love that personally. I love that personally because like that's what we've been saying. Right? That's what we've been saying. Hey man, it's me, Vincent. It was cool to stream with you yesterday. Megaphonics, you piece of shit. Don't try to act like you're actually Vincent. That's crazy. Megaphonics comes back from Megaphonics comes back from Mongolia, immediately assumes the role of a different person. Wife of Phonics. We all know it's you, Mitch Voter. Yeah. Megaphonics trying to steal Vincent's aura. That's crazy. No, Vincent doesn't have a Twitter. Vincent does not have any social media. He's too busy trying to win elections, okay? This is such a funny thing. By the way, beast mode on these campaign trucks. These trucks with pro Abdul El Sayed messengers driving around Midtown and downtown Detroit today. Abdul equals Michigan's future. Haley equals Israel's future. You decide. Haley equals Michigan's future. El Sayed equals Egypt's future. The above should be viewed as racist. So should the below. Dog. Haley Stevens is not Israeli. And Haley Stevens is not even Jewish. What the fuck is happening? Okay? Like, I'm sorry, being fucking pro-Israel and saying Israel comes to me in my dreams does not make you Jewish. I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. Abdul El Sayed is not running on a platform to give billions of dollars to Egypt. As a matter of fact, it's a key part of his plank that he says, like, I don't want to give money to Egypt either. What the fuck? These people are so funny. Dude, the pro-Israel movement in this country have lost their dang minds, okay? They have lost their dang minds. I cannot stress this enough. There is a real crisis happening in the Hasbara movement. There's a real crisis happening in the Zionist movement where they have lost their dang minds. They think like, oh, the more pro-Israel you are, the more Jewish you are. If you're Jewish and anti-Zionist, then you're no longer Jewish. They straight up have decided that that is now the new meta. It blows my fucking mind. Yeah. This is one of the key reasons this race is so, broken containment. Apolitical people I know who hadn't yet heard about Abdul were asking me if he was running against the Israel Comes to Me in My Dreams lady months ago. Yep. To that end, it's flatly untrue that AIPAC's goal is to combat anti-Semitism. Groups spent millions to support, yeah, of course, to support Haley Stevens against Andy Levin, specifically and explicitly because Levin is Jewish and a former synagogue president and was critical of Israel. Okay, because of that, he represented a threat to their actual goal, which is supporting Israel. Why they try to pretend otherwise is beyond me. Andy Levin, former synagogue president Andy Levin, prominent member of the Jewish community in his community, was aggressively spent against by AIPAC. Okay? They cooked him. This race is also Andy's revenge in some respects. Andy Levin also happens to be one of the first endorsers of Abdul El Sayed, ironically enough. He was first. He was one of the first like Michigan endorsements that Abdul El Sayed received because you know, there's obviously some anger and some understandable resentment towards Haley Stevens and towards AIPAC in particular.
Meanwhile, both here in Michigan and in Kansas, you have voters making their picks to replace term-limited Democratic governors in states that President Trump won. By the way, in 5 states this morning.
Why didn't you launch a phone bank for Corey? Big dog. I maxed out the Corey. I went to St. Louis for Corey. We've been promoting the phone banks for Corey for the past couple of weeks. What are you talking about, dude? Are you okay? I'm one person. The real question is, why are you in here and not fucking smiling and dialing for Corey right now? Like, what have you done for Corey Bush? I don't understand this. I don't understand this at all. I'm so...
You have competitive House primaries. This primary season is well underway. Guys?
It is indeed. Shaquille Brewster for us there in Michigan. Shaq, thank you. NBC's Steve Kornacki joining us now with a closer look at the races to watch on this primary day. Steve, always good to have you, buddy. Let's start where Shaq is. Let's start in Michigan. This race between the establishment and so-called progressives and what it could mean come November.
Yeah, major story we've been following throughout this primary season. It has been the rise of...
Do you think that the ultimate goal of the DSA should be to save the Democratic Party? What kind of fucking dumbass question is this, dude? Are you a trot? Are you from the socialist alternative? Is that what's going on? Are we still doing this? No, that's not the fucking goal. The goal is to advance socialism. The goal is to help people, okay? That is the primary goal. The goal is to help people. Jesus Christ.
These far
All
left
the fucking
candidates
morons are in the chat today.
in Democratic primaries. They've scored some major victories. If Abdul El-Sayed is able to win tonight in Michigan, by far, this would be the biggest win that the left wing of the Democratic Party has posted.
I feel like this is another clip. The goal has always been to help people. It doesn't matter what the vessel is. It doesn't matter how it takes shape. The goal has always been primarily to advance the material conditions of the working class. That's it. That's the first goal. That's the last goal. Okay? Please. Bad day, bud. It's actually a good day, but I'm having somewhat of a bad time because I think like I said, when I don't pay close attention to chat for a couple days, they get unfucking bearable as a collective. Many of you are good. I just Anyway.
In these primaries. Just as a reminder here, these are some of the other names that have won here. Mela Kiros, this is a race for Congress. She ousted a 30-year incumbent in Denver, a 10-year incumbent ousted in New York by Chevalier, a self-described socialist, Chris Rabb, Philadelphia. The significance in Michigan, though, these are all blue districts, blue cities, places where they're going to win in November. Michigan's a swing state. President Trump carried it 2 out of 3 times. Can somebody from the far left of the Democratic Party, backed by many of the folks who backed these candidates, can a candidate like that, if he wins this primary, win a general election in a Trump state?
Steve, what do Democrats have?
I'm pretty confident there's an astroturfing effort on here on social media, etc. There's so Discord on our side. I've seen a noticeable uptick in the last couple of days. So for the longest time, our problem was we couldn't unite people into taking action and win power, no matter how tiny it may seem. Nowadays, we have become victim to our own success. Now that there is actually some motion, some institutional motion, some mobilization efforts that have actually yielded tremendous fruits, and now that mobilization is growing, and we're taking the victories that we have claimed to create more victories in the rest of the country. Now you have people that feel, I think, like a level of resentment, a level of entitlement, a level of jealousy, that feel as though they are not a part of the movement firmly. Maybe they made their commitments elsewhere, and they're coming in to disparage. They're coming in to say, oh, look, I know that you guys are moving the needle, but you're not doing it in my way. So we're just going to prick at it. We're going to prick at it as to the best of our ability. Oh, Abdul says he's a capitalist. Like, how dare you? How dare you endorse a guy like that? Why would you do that? All this stuff. And I think it's just, I can't tell if it's like deliberate. I don't know what it is. I would assume that it's more of a base feeling of resentment, not born out of any sort of like disciplined method of change that we don't abide by, but instead a base resentment of envy. That's what I think. Crabs in a bucket mentality. When Abdul wins, wait for the centrists to fund Rogers so they can present their centrism as electability case. I do worry about that, but we shall see.
Going for them, and what are some of the biggest challenges that you see them having moving forward?
Yeah, look, if Al-Sayed wins, the best thing he could have going for him would be the climate here in the general election, and that is President Trump's not popular. 39% approval rating, especially on the economy and especially on Iran, two of the front and center issues. So is the weight of Trump just too much for Republicans, even against, if it comes to it, a candidate like El Sayed in Michigan? The flip side, though, is we say the risk Democrats might be taking politically.
I'm reporting from the Wisconsin front, but dog, all my normie-ish Twitter followers are going nutty over you. Yeah, the Wisconsin stuff is a nightmare. We'll get to that in a second.
Here it is, a recent poll here from our friends over at Fox.
It's organic. My friend in the PSL hates you. Good. Put that on a long list. That's what I need. More enemies. More enemies from the left flank. Okay, good. Great. Meanwhile, the federal government is trying to actively tie me up on a fucking RICO case with, Roy Singham. But your dumb fuck, moronic, baboon-like friend who is in the Party for Socialism and Liberation hates me. Who gives a fuck, dude? It's a long-ass line. If they want to stand on that line with Zionists, pedophiles, monstrous corporatists, monstrous forms of parasitic capital, Trumpists, then go ahead. Make my fucking day. Okay? Who gives a fuck about what your stupid fucking friend in PSL has to say? The overwhelming majority of the members that comprise of the Party of Socialism and Liberation are fans and friends. Those who are locked in. Those who understand the importance of solidarity. Who fucking cares if your dumb fuck friend hasn't been able to figure it out? Fuck your friend.
Socialism, views of socialism inside the Democratic Party. It's more popular socialism than not. Take a step outside the Democratic Party, totally different story. 1777 among independents. So if you nominate a candidate who is backed, he says he's not a socialist, but he's backed by many who are. Sure. Is that a risk you're taking?
Let's talk about what it all means come November, Steve. Let's take a look at the balance of power in Washington.
Yeah, I gave you a sneak peek a second ago. Balance in the Senate right now. Look, this means that Democrats, if this November they're going to get the majority, they need to gain 4 seats. They need to get to 51. This is the map, the seats up this year, the parties that currently hold them. The bottom line, Democrats right now have to flip 4 of these red seats around the country to win the Senate. But look, Michigan currently is held by a Democrat. The Democrats retiring. If the Democrats lose Michigan, they need to flip 5 red seats. There are many people who think they may not be able to get 4. If they've got to get 5, I don't know anyone out there who thinks they can.
All right, Steve Kornacki, always appreciate the insight, sir. We're going to see Steve tonight for live coverage of the results starting at 9 p.m.
The Day to Die with Steve Kornacki.
It's the election that could herald the future of...
So refreshing that you don't grovel at the feet of your opposition like liberals do, to be honest. I will never do that. Again, for most, their criticisms mean nothing because I've seen what they champion, okay? Their boos mean nothing, for I have seen what makes them cheer. It does not mean anything to me, okay? I have to deal with the institutional Democratic Party. I have to deal with DC consultants. I have to deal with the full weight of the MAGA movement, with its apparatus of propaganda on Fox News every fucking day. You think some sweaty fucking loser who read too much theory and misunderstood it is gonna fucking bother me? What are you, crazy? One of perhaps the most irrelevant forces in American politics. Who gives a shit? Lock in. It is important for them to change their minds and recognize the moment. Not important for me. They do not understand what is at stake, okay? How can we create solidarity with true revolutionary socialists then? Okay, we're done. We're done with this conversation. We're done.
The Democrat.
True revolutionary socialism is not your book club, okay? It's just not. Sorry. Just keep organizing and build the vanguard. I will be there for you when you do, okay?
Party.
It has now become an election of national significance.
Today's Senate primary in Michigan pits progressive Abdul El-Sayed against moderate Congresswoman Haley Stevens. El-Sayed is running on a platform that includes Medicare for all and abolishing ICE. He's been endorsed by Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
ICE cannot be reformed. ICE cannot be
Hey, this is from our rally.
retrained. ICE needs to be abolished.
El-Sayed has been the target of attacks, not just from Republicans, but from establishment Democrats, too.
If you're Chuck Schumer,
La Chinoise was prophetic. Oh, that's so what a fucking pull. Holy shit. What a pull, dude. God damn.
and want to keep doling out corporate money to elect people who are going to do your bidding. I am so damn dangerous.
That establishment, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, is lining up behind Stevens.
Is that how you say
a pro-Israel group
it?
and its affiliates have also spent nearly $30 million backing Stevens. Israel has divided the candidates. El-Sayed has called the war in Gaza a genocide and accuses Stevens of being a reliable pro-Israel vote. But as
So people are asking, and by that I mean Little Bear, does anyone know when we can start to see the results, aka when the polls close? Please present me with an hour estimate. I do not understand Yank time zones. So polls close at 8 p.m. Michigan time, which is going to be in approximately it's about to be 5, so 3 hours from now. Okay? However, we don't know how fast the vote tabulations will come in, how fast the calculation will be, but I will say this. Depending on the projections, if Abdul is a blowout from the start, if it's an early blowout, we will know by 9 p.m., so like 1 hour after polls close. But it's entirely dependent on what the turnout looks like, what the exit polls look like, to make a determined prediction, a determined projection. We will most likely be able to project a winner fairly early on if Abdul's turnout is crazy. Okay? Pretty sure race can't be called until the 4 Central Time counties in the UP close. Here is Zachary Domini, okay, the poll nerds over at Vote Hub. El-Sayed versus Stevens, election night expectations. Polls close at 8 p.m. Eastern, but Michigan is a marathon. In 2024, only 15% of ballots were counted by 10 p.m., 50% by midnight, and 75% by 2 a.m. It may be faster tonight, but no promises. A close race could remain uncalled well into the morning, but if El-Sayed is headed for a comfortable victory, a call could come in the 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern hour. My turnout projection is 1.5 million votes, 90,000 early votes, 800,000 mail ballots, and 635,000 election day votes. Michigan's reporting process adds another layer of uncertainty as counties can release vote methods in different orders. Absentee ballots are broadly expected to be released before election day votes with newer pre-processing rules, but some jurisdictions, such as Ann Arbor City and Midland County, have historically reported E-Day votes before absentee ballots. Election day voting should be substantially stronger for El-Sayed, while the absentee electorate is much older and should be better for Stevens. His relatively strong polling compared to other progressives among older white voters is a major reason he remains the heavy favorite, but absentee-heavy initial returns could still make the race look competitive. If El-Sayed is on track to win the absentee vote statewide, the race is over. If Stevens wins absentee voters, however, it may take until around 11 p.m. for the expected election day shift to manifest enough for a call. So there will be a red mirage potentially. I don't expect there to be a red mirage potentially. That's why I said it's important about turnout, because as vote, thank you, that was very detailed and very understandable for us non-Yanks. Yes, as Zachary Donini has also, red mirage, as in like Haley being the red, Haley being the Republican adjacent, the conservative in this race. So there could be a Stevens mirage early on, depending on turnout, where it's coming from. If it's from Wayne County, Detroit, early voters, that's going to favor older black voters. There is a higher likelihood that those votes will go to Haley Stevens, adjusted to the rest of the counties where there are a lot of older white voters. So we shall see. But like I said, given the polling has been so consistently in favor of Abdul El-Sayed for a very long time, the likelihood of a mirage is also still low. For instance, Detroit City's absentee vote and Oakland County's absentee vote could be among the first major returns tonight. In a tied race, our targets for Stevens in these drops are roughly 40-point win in Detroit and 35-point win in Oakland absentee ballots. Okay? Like, do you understand? In order for this to be even in a tied race, Haley Stevens has to put up 40 points over Abdul in the Detroit absentee ballots and 35 points on Abdul in Oakland absentee ballots. So even a 20-point lead in both would be something we would expect to see in a comfortable win for Abdul El-Sayed. Remember, if the absentee ballots come out from Detroit and Oakland early on, and Haley Stevens is only leading by 20 points, that's a comfortable victory for Abdul. Okay? This is part of the reason why I think the call will perhaps come fairly early on in the night. That's the expectation, at least. Yeah, in Lansing, Michigan, a pollster said it was the most amount of young folks she's seen vote in person in this precinct. I want you to remember that. You're showing up big. Many of you who are either watching or have watched in the past, you're showing up big today. And it's fucking important. We're delivering a goddamn message, okay? And it's not just a national message. This is a message that will have reverberations internationally, okay? Remember that. Meanwhile, I'm out here like a fucking dumbass arguing with like the 8 remaining trots and the 1 PSL guy that someone fucking knows. What's wrong with me? Sometimes I have to remember where I'm at in my career, where we are at in this fucking movement. Meanwhile, I'm literally listening to people who are chirping, as this community is a part of making history. This community will have played a role in making history, and I'm over here fucking listening to goddamn chirpers who want to fucking fire off clips that might make its way to Fox News. The fuck is wrong with me? Yeah. Israel comes to me in my dreams. How about healthcare comes to me in my dreams? Okay. Medicare for all comes to me in my dreams. Data for Progress poll. Ann Arbor Dem primary voters under the age of 45. Haley Stevens, disapproval minus 59 net. 77% disapproval, 18% approval. Abdul El-Sayed, approval 83% plus 71. Disapproval 12%. Those are the fucking weirdo Twitter fans. Okay, that's that 12%. Those are the I can't believe Abdul El-Sayed. This the 12% disapproval of Abdul El-Sayed for voters under the age of 45 happened to be 100% of the Twitter chirpers. 100% of the Twitter chirpers. Okay? They are literally nowhere in the real world and everywhere online. I'm being so for real. Your stream for Donovan McKinney made me love him so much as a candidate. He had amazing vibes and policy, obviously, the whole time, and was such a charismatic figure. And without your stream, we would have never gotten to engage with him in any capacity. Yes. The Max Miller debacle gets worse. His ex-wife's lawyers say he shared pictures of her daughter's genitals to 200K plus people as a part of his Dropbox effort. Oh my God. Yeah. In April 2026 Echelon poll, among respondents who had an opinion of each person, Hassan had lower favorability rating than Candace Owens, though only 22% of respondents had an opinion on Hassan. I said extremely online take masquerading as sound critique. If they really think you're such a detriment, they shouldn't care if you campaign with more candidates, law. Yeah. Isn't this more of an offline take that your chat plus Twitter are actually a small bubble compared with broadcast TV hosts, since only 22% of people had an opinion of you? These people do not understand. These campaigns at the end of the day, maybe Abdul's a little bit different, but these campaigns at the end of the day, they poll me. They poll me in the district. They poll me for the primaries. They poll me for the general. These guys on the fucking internet are too stupid to understand that. They are making the calculation. Like, they're making that cold calculation. You think a guy like Vincent hasn't polled me for every single fucking campaign that I've played a role in? Are you stupid? Of course they poll me to see if the voters have a favorable opinion of me or a negative opinion of me. These are real, serious political campaigns, you fucking idiots. Of course they poll me to make that calculation. What does this community provide? There's obviously a secret special sauce beyond that, and Abdul leaning into it clearly benefited him. But it's kind of funny that these fucking idiots on election Twitter, half of them are from Europe, by the way, okay, are just like, these guys are making a real mistake. Okay, well, good thing they didn't fucking listen to your dumbass, okay? Motherfucker from Estonia who's like really obsessed with Kalamazoo results for some fucking weird reason. It's so funny. Like, could you imagine? Could you fucking imagine if I was like, honestly, the results in Idaviru County, capital Jovi, are very important to me in the upcoming Estonian elections. Like I don't do that to you. So why the fuck are you doing that to me? Shut the fuck up. You live in Estonia. You live in Polva County, okay? Or maybe Pärnu County. Do you see me? Do you see me talking about the Estonian local comptroller elections? Well, I don't know. I don't know if Pärnu County will find it favorable that there is such a radical comptroller running. Shut the fuck up. It's so funny, man. Estonians on election Twitter be like, yeah, I don't know, man. I ran the numbers. I don't really like how Hassan is seen in the Upper Peninsula, actually. It was a real mistake for Abdul to fucking link up with him. Bro's about to put up fucking LeBron numbers in a race where they dumped $80 million against him, and you act like you know better. What are you talking about? Maybe you just don't know. Now, of course, this isn't to say that American elections don't matter to the rest of the world. Of course it does. That's why a lot of people pay attention to it. But election Twitter is a little bit different. This is their autistic fancy. This is their autistic hyperfixation. Okay? So you're coping when you say, well, to be fair, you know, Estonia can't tariff or invade America, but America could do the same to Estonia. Yeah, I know. But there's a difference between paying close attention to the American races and then making takes all the way from fucking Estonia from your liberal framework. Maybe you don't understand what's going on the ground. And maybe all of the readily available information is actually screaming at you that perhaps I know something you don't, but you're still fucking trying to desperately reconfirm your goddamn priors. Okay? That's what's so fucking annoying about election Twitter, is that they're from all over the world, but they don't understand that sometimes making bold decisions actually plays very well. And in this race specifically, Abdul could have easily seen the heat and pulled out. Okay? But the very fact that he didn't do that actually rewarded him, and it rewarded him in noticeable ways. So why are we still having this fucking conversation off of like hard data that I looked at? Sometimes there is things beyond the polls. Okay? I think they're just interested in politics generally. I think they're harmless since nobody outside election Twitter is aware of them. I know. I'm the only one who gets annoyed by them. I'm the only one who gets bothered by them. We've won some of them over, thank God, like you, Michigan voter. But again, ultimately harmless, ultimately irrelevant. But like, what's frustrating to me is when someone is wrong. What's frustrating to me is when someone is wrong, but they just keep behaving in this hard-headed manner. Okay, this hard-headed manner where they're like, no, I am going to desperately reconfirm my priors. How can you look at unpredictable outcomes that data is not bearing out, as far as like unbelievable, unprecedented youth turnout, for example, and even like noticeable peaks in the polling that came after Abdul just looked more like a fighter for the causes he cares about, and then still commit to being so stubborn and so wrong? Yeah, to a lesser extent, we saw the same delusion when the Channel 4 reporter asked if your UK ban might affect Abdul's campaign. Yeah. I need you guys to understand something. Sometimes we have a tendency to be trapped in our own bubble. Sometimes there's an argument that is crafted so perfectly that it piques your interest, and you can't see the world outside of it. One example that I want